This is the last picture taken of a 4-year-old girl who was the victim of gross failures by medical staff, a coroner has ruled. Tragic. Gracie Foster died from sepsis after being discharged from hospital while suffering from meningitis. An inquest heard Gracie was neglected by doctors and nurses who did not carry out basic health checks when she complained of feeling unwell. She had gone into Chesterfield Royal Hospital for surgery to remove her tonsils, but the operation was cancelled when she vomited and was found to have a high temperature. Doctors believed she had a viral infection, but neither they nor nurses on the ward carried out basic health checks. As a result of their total and complete failures, Gracie was sent home without any treatment for the killer illness which was already beginning to ravage her little body. If we had given her antibiotics at 3 p.m. she would have survived, a doctor told the inquest, image, SWNS.com, but a lack of professional care, and its system failure, which could not deal with Gracie's unusual set of circumstances led to tragedy. Had the little girl received proper care and been kept in hospital, she probably would be alive today, a coroner said. Chesterfield Coroner's Court heard that at 8 a.m. on the day of her death the schoolgirl had attended hospital for the routine operation. She was excited, and went off to play. But she suddenly became unwell and vomited after a nurse gave her medication. When she took her temperature, it was recorded at 40.1 degrees. The youngster was taken back to the ward and was reviewed by the anesthetist, who cancelled her surgery at 10:30 a.m. Just over an hour later, locum consultant Dr. Tim UBHI came to check on the little girl. Gracie's mum, Michelle Foster, said he just looked down her throat, then said she could go home. Her mother carried her from the hospital just after 12:30 p.m. and took her to her granny's house. She was given paracetamol and ibuprofen as instructed by the doctor. Miss Foster said she was told to take her daughter home sobbing. Michelle, 34, of Old Whittington, Chesterfield, told the hearing, "I took her away to die." The youngster continued to deteriorate, and by 7 p.m., Gracie's grandmother Susan Ann Rayner found 2 rashes on her body and she was rushed to Sheffield Children's Hospital. She was put into intensive care, but doctors were unable to save her and she died at 10:36 p.m., just over 8 hours after being discharged, after suffering 2 cardiac arrests. A postmortem found Gracie died from Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome, an adrenal gland failure due to bleeding into the adrenal glands, caused by a severe meningococcal infection which led to sepsis. After 4 days of evidence, Derbyshire Senior Coroner Dr. Robert Hunter concluded that Gracie had died of natural causes contributed to by neglect. He said the hospital had no systems in place to address the issue of a well child admitted for elective surgery becoming acutely unwell on the ward before surgery, and no system in place to guarantee the medical review of a child before discharge. Consequently, the seriousness of her condition was underestimated, went undiagnosed and therefore untreated, he added. Had Gracie been diagnosed and treated before 3 p.m., then on the balance of probability, she would have survived and not have died at the time she did. There were gross failures by the attending healthcare professionals and as such Gracie Foster died of natural causes, contributed to by neglect, the coroner added. I find the failure to have effective protocols in place to undertake basic tests such as routine observations or appropriate clinical examination resulted in a severe underestimation of Gracie's condition. Gracie Foster died 3 years ago, aged 4, image, SWNS.com. It should have been obvious that Gracie was in need of medical attention. He said that the failure to perform basic and routine procedures, such as blood and urine tests, were more than just simple errors. This is so basic that it is something a professional trained to graduate level should not miss. These procedures should occur almost instinctively. Therefore I would find these constituted gross failures. Consequently I am satisfied that Gracie's death was contributed to by neglect. Addressing Gracie's mum, the coroner said, it's obvious a light has gone out in your life, but it still should be in your heart. Things will be difficult, but just remember the fun and good times you had with Gracie. Dr. Hunter was critical of Dr. Ubhi, who had claimed Nurse Shireen MacDonald made a casual request for him to take a look at Gracie. He claimed had she been formally referred to him, he would have approached her examination in a different manner. But the consultant admitted to Gracie's mother, "I wish I'd done more." Dr. Hunter voiced concern that while her mom and some staff reported Gracie being tired, sleepy and floppy, the consultant and nurse described her alert and drinking fluids. "I'm inclined to accept her mother's evidence as more accurately reflecting Gracie's condition," he added. During the inquest it was suggested that Gracie's deterioration from the time she was admitted to hospital meant she ticked a number of boxes to indicate she had meningitis. Ms. Foster said she got a call saying Gracie had crashed. At Sheffield Children's Hospital, a panel of experts agreed a joint statement which said, in their opinion, Gracie's high temperature was the start of the meningococcal disease. Other chances were missed and Gracie should have been kept on the ward. They said by 3 p.m. her vital signs and general condition would have led to her being admitted to intensive care. In that event, they said they believed she would have lived. Dr. Hunter also questioned Public Health England's policy about issuing warnings to local hospitals after a boy at Gracie's school was struck down by meningitis weeks earlier. It emerged alerts are only sent out when multiple cases are identified. Speaking on behalf of Michelle's mum, Gracie's mum, Carol White of Nelson's law firm, said, "Nothing will bring Gracie back. Her early, tragic and avoidable death is something from which her family will never recover." The family hopes that what happened to Gracie will raise awareness and understanding of the devastating illness of meningococcal septicemia, so that her death serves to lessen the chances of her tragic story being repeated. Meningococcal septicemia is a poorly understood illness in terms of the symptoms to look out for, not only by the general public but also by the medical profession.